You've come to beg on the door. Forgive me, Delilah, I just couldn't take anymore.
Welcome to the Bear Pit Pod. We start on a somber note this week because I wanted to share this. Darren Wells, who's a follower of the page, also I think a listener of the podcast, who taught me, and we wouldn't usually mention rival bookmaker firms, but he worked at Bet365, trained me when I first joined there, worked with Jake, who's been on the podcast pretty recently. Suddenly and sadly passed away just aged 31. Very suddenly, completely unexpected, and engaged as well to Naomi. So we've put a link in the description if anyone wants to go and donate to that to help out his fiancée in this really difficult time. So if you could do that, it'd be really appreciated. There'll be a link in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this. Somber note, and not a pleasant note to start off the podcast, but felt like it needed to be done. But the podcast is back after a week absence.
Yes,
obviously because we weren't going to report on a week of training and nothing.
Because you weren't here last Tuesday, is that right?
Singapore, yeah, I was in
Singapore. So yeah, we didn't do it last week.
We didn't do it
and
last
it was
week.
The day before the game, anyway, wasn't it? So
yeah, pretty much.
Been void over 24 hours. Yeah.
Before we do get into the games and that, by the way, I've booked up on your stag do.
Have you?
Yes. You don't know where it is, do
No.
you?
No.
Oh, good.
My two best men, James, are organised it, and they put my faith in them.
Should we do a podcast on the stag do?
Could do. That could work. Yeah.
I don't know what state you'll be in, but
I don't know, because there's several Stokies going on it, obviously. My brothers, a few of the lads that I go to games with. So, yeah, maybe, hell.
possibly.
I've not considered that as an
it'll
option,
be
but it'd be funny.
smack bang in the middle of pre-season.
Yes, we could do a little mini update. It'll say who's coming here.
Yeah.
Because we're out there anyway.
We could do it. We could do that.
Yeah.
Let us know if we should do a podcast on Craig's stag do. See how that goes. Viewers also have a guess where Craig's stag do is, because he doesn't know. I know where it is. You don't know where it is.
No.
Not a clue.
I'd like to. I keep thinking, how long do I want to keep this a secret? Because eventually, what do I get from not knowing? You know, what you turn up at the place and go, oh, it's this place, brilliant.
You know, when you rock up at Blackpool. And
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to get from not knowing, but I'd like to keep it secret to at least the airport. If it is indeed an airport, well, it will be, because they've asked me passport details. Well, it could be the Channel Tunnel. I don't know, but time will tell.
the more you don't know, the better, in my eyes. But first off, we should probably cover off the Watford game. What a game it was.
Anticlimax.
Yeah.
Fall from grace, that. It was a bizarre one. I was so, as we both know, we were both so pumped after the Huddersfield game. Thought, right, we're back. This is it. This is what we've been missing. And I went into the Watford game doing the fatal error of calculating, you know, our points total after that with 3 points. We'll be, you know, we should be 13th in the league. I did all that stupid stuff you do. And it was such a flat game on it. Well, it wasn't flat. The ball was not flat, but the ball was in the air.
The ball wasn't flat.
It was a shocker. It was such a poor game. I think it hurt more because of the Huddersfield game. Well, it was brilliant, passionate. It was just flat as a pancake. And I came away from
It was
worried.
just a really drab game.
Yeah.
Nothing really much of note happened.
It didn't.
Like, really nothing.
I mean, well, do we cover that much? I mean,
No,
it's not really the most recent game.
I think we can give it as much as that attention, because I don't think it deserves
I
any
think
more.
the only
It was
thing...
positives clean sheet.
It was a clean sheet, and it did worryingly remind me of a lot of Hughes games. Some similar worrying themes were there in that game. Inability to create chances. We always looked open when Watford broke. A week later, they did beat Chelsea 4-1 yesterday. I know it's 10 men. They did have a new manager. We did have that to kind of...
I backed them 6-1 to beat Chelsea.
Did you?
Night.
You
Yeah.
do well in your brain, don't you? I need to
Okay.
copy you. So I think part of me thinks that it wasn't the worst result in the world. They had a new manager. We had that manager bounce thing. They did do well against Chelsea last night. I know it's 10 men, but in hindsight, maybe not the worst result. However, that is if we'd have got something at Bournemouth. Moving on.
Yeah. So, Bournemouth. Ndai. How do you say it?
I don't know.
Ndai.
Let's go with Ndai. Sounds a
Ndai.
bit more natural.
Was handed his debut. Crouch started up front.
Yep.
Don't know what I thought about Crouch up top.
No,
I never think he should be leading the line.
No.
Especially away from home.
Not as a... not on his own,
Not on
anyway.
his own.
He needs to be up... just turns into a big cliche, but I've said it a million times. He needs to be up front with a quick, pacey striker to work around him, and he's not been. I can't recall last time he's played up front with someone else.
Juve?
Too. When was that though?
Was it not this weekend? Was not Juve thereabouts? Am I getting that completely wrong?
No.
Come on.
I think Crouch and Juve, I don't think were ever on the pitch at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
There's a sub before that.
So yeah, but we started off quite brightly. I think it was us for the majority of the opening period.
I go as far to say the best half away performance half this season. We did tailor off slightly towards the end of the half, maybe the last 5-10. But I still roll it in and say that was the best away performance for half anyway of the season, which is a decent thing to claim, obviously. And then
well, it did start off pretty well. Yeah. Shaqiri scored a header, his first header in the Premier League, assisted by a new signing in Ndai.
Yeah, great
7
ball.
Minutes in, got an assist on his debut. It was a good start.
It was a great ball, a great header from Shaq, which is something I'll never say. I've never said before, and I'll probably never say again. Bizarre to see the little man just there,
unmarked, 6 yard box,
acres of space,
and he put it into he headed it like Peter Crouch, like he'd been heading it in every game. It was good. And Ndai, fucking, I'm going to just keep getting wrong.
Ndai's cool.
Ndai seemed very energetic, lively, positive.
Yeah, he's quite a slight guy.
Yeah,
quite short actually and small. I thought he was a big guy.
He was everywhere at first.
He was
tackling,
very
got
pacey.
a yellow card, squared up to. He had an eventful first half.
He looks quite a fiery guy, which I don't think is a bad thing with our current predicament.
I think he had to be dragged away from Lewis Coop before
Ryan
ate him. Oh, best put phone on silent.
Ryan.
Yeah, before he ate him.
Yeah,
but positive first half. And the only other thing I can probably mention is Bournemouth did have a few chances, and notably, Eric Peters cleared one off the line. That was ridiculous. I think he might have cleared it with his dick.
From what I recall, because I was like quite adjacent with the goalpost, and thinking back in hindsight, I imagine it was from around that sort of area that prevented the goal going in.
But it was a phenomenal. None of us can speak today. Phenomenal. That's the one.
It's podcast gold.
This is brilliant.
Listen to Ellen Craig try and speak.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
clearance.
Mm-hmm. It was. It was a goal. It was a goal all day long.
Oh yeah,
how he stayed down.
And Eric's playing pretty well. Now he's not a wing back.
Yeah, 100%. Thing is, we've always known he's a decent fullback. We've always known, or I've always certainly felt he's a decent left back. It was wing back where he's hung out to dry. Was that his fault? He didn't probably demand to play wing back, but
I'm sure he didn't ask to play in a position that makes him look shit.
Yeah,
I'm sure he didn't ask for that.
No.
And then obviously
the first half, just quickly, it was. I'm so annoyed that the result went where it did, because I don't think we're going to get the credit we deserve that first half out of 35. We were brilliant. I honestly thought, there were several points I thought, you know what, if we grab a second here, we can actually do a 3-4-0 there. I really thought Bournemouth looked absolute on the ropes. They could have been KO'd. We battered him. And then, And then we come out for the second half. Joe Allen sort of tackled Zuma. Like they just ran into each other. And it opened the door for Joshua King to just put one away. Easy goal. It was just... I couldn't really figure out what went on. Joe Allen's gone for the ball. Zuma's sort of just stepped into him, and they've just taken each other out. Yeah, bit of a comical defending. It was comical, but I feel like the problems were coming before. Like we were running out of steam so quickly. We were like a car.
I think we're trying to play a certain pressing system, and I don't know if we've got the fitness for it.
Not at all. It was coming in hindsight. It was coming, but I felt that we were 1-0 up, and I thought, well, worst case, we'll get a point now. Yeah, actually, we're Bournemouth. The likelihood of Bournemouth getting 2.5 is reasonably slim. We'll get a point. Them 10 minutes, I really feel could define the season. I'm dreading it, but I can't help but think we'll look back on this season. If worst case happens, we go down, and we will look at that half against Bournemouth and go, that is when the tide turned for us. I really am fearful of that. I don't want to be too pessimistic, but it just feels such a cliche turning point in our season, that half. It really does. I hope I'm
so
wrong.
On top.
I was so on top, and if you'd have told me after 35, 40 minutes we're going to lose this 2-1, I would have been like gobsmacked. And what a whirlwind half that was. I was so gutted. I slumped to my seat after the final whistle went.
So, before we do get to the final, so obviously you did the match day, and someone on the Facebook page actually said they thought you were like ready to start crying at the end.
I watched that back, and it does seem that.
You do seem you're getting pretty emotional.
I genuinely wasn't filling up. I really wasn't, but I don't know, maybe I was, because I've looked at it back and I thought, Christ, I look a bit emotional there.
Yeah,
I think I was just tired. But yeah, I'm not at the level yet where I'm going to be crying over Stoke. We'll save that for May, maybe. But I was devastated. That was probably the lowest I felt this season after the Bournemouth game. I slumped in my seat and I sat there for a good 10 after our final whistle in the stand and just thought, I felt this is the point where we'll look back and think, yeah, this is where it really started to unravel.
So I was at the big YouTube boxing, obviously going supporting friends doing massive things on YouTube, and I watched the first half at home, and then I got into a taxi and I managed to get a stream that would work on my phone. And as I went into the Copper Box Arena where the boxing was, signal just dead, gone. I couldn't even get scores up or anything.
Yeah.
And then I think it was about an hour later or so I managed to get a bit of signal whipped on. I was like,
oh, so did you find out a full whistle?
Well, a bit after.
So you, when your signal went, we were winning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrendous. That's awful.
Signal were winning. I get into the Copper Box.
Dear.
I'm thinking, and someone walks up to me at one point. Oh, your boys are winning. I was like, yeah. Get in.
Yeah.
And I get signal like half hour 45 later. Check the score. Like, how the fuck has that happened?
It's very rare in this day and age. You have complete signal blackout that you can't get any updates.
That's what happens when you're in Copper Box Arena with 8,000 teenagers all tweeting, sending videos, all sorts, vlogging. But yeah, we did lose, and it came from Les Mousset, I think you say. It struck in the 79th. Should Jack have done better?
You know what? I've not even watched it back. I haven't got the heart to watch it back.
Well, I've watched it, Craig, because I obviously never saw it at the time as it happened live. But
it looks stupidly
comes out
open there.
And he jumps to try and block, but the header just goes underneath him. Completely misses it. And it's a really easy goal.
It just seems so easy. It was ball, cross, goal. There didn't seem any clever fancy play. Poor marking again. Worryingly, the same sort of problems we experienced under Hughes in terms of defending set pieces or crosses.
Is Jack's place completely up for contention for the World Cup now? Because he's
in the squad to start. I don't think he'll start now.
No,
I don't think. I think Thingy Bob will from
Pickford.
Yeah,
even though he's not doing great, conceded 5 at the weekend against Arsenal.
No, he did, but at the same time, you could kind of reboot that with Jack. Pick 1 million in one game to say, well, Jack conceded 7 here, 5 here, 6
I can honestly see the scenario where someone like Nick Pope comes in, sweeps it from under him.
Potentially. I think he'll sneak onto the plane because you get the impression Southgate
Joe Hart's not starting.
Yeah, he'll sneak onto the plane, but it's a shame,
literally
really.
Sneak onto the plane, climbing up.
Yeah, in the squad.
Holding on the side, Mission Impossible style.
Baggage handle or something. But I think I'm gutted for him, but I've got to be gutted for Stoke more because has he been in great form for Stoke? He's in front of a shocking defence.
Best performance from that game. And Dye?
Probably. I thought
Shaq?
Yeah, Shaq was okay, and Dye was okay. Peters was very solid. You know what, Bauer is my man of the match.
It's just solid.
We've got something decent
solid.
Now. We really have. I thought this is the problem again. I looked throughout the whole team and I struggled to see poor performers. Probably cheap emoting and Crouch were the least ineffective I felt on the day.
Crouch didn't have a great game.
No.
So yeah,
I'll tell you what is frustrating about that game. So we can see the equaliser, then the second. The last 20 minutes of that game was absolute pandemonium. It was carnage. Talk about tactics going out the window. I've never seen anything like it. Ryan was up front. Zuma was charging forward. We were lumping the ball. Juve and Berahino come on. Was just chaos. They didn't know where they should. I don't know what instructions they were given, but it was the formation went to shit.
Remind me because
all over the place.
Remind me when we get to the questions because there's a very good question about that. I think about what exactly all the things. You just said.
I felt it's like that against Watford as well a little bit.
So do remind me about that.
Yeah, it was just chaos. And
so man of the match we're going with Bauer.
Yeah, I'll go with Bauer. And I suppose the worst performer I'll probably say cheap emoting was just a little bit.
Okay, I'll go for
anonymous
Crouch.
Or Crouch, yeah.
So the question that's on many people's lips. Do we stay up?
This is the first podcast now. I've truly thought this is on the cards now, isn't it? I've been burying my head.
It's been on the cards for
don't get me wrong. I know the position we've been in, but deep down I kept thinking, we've got the quality. You know, burying my head, it'll be fine. We're not going to go down. And this is the one where I thought, shit, we're actually in a proper scrap, aren't we? It's the one that's really slapped me across the face and I thought, we comfortably could win the Championship this time next year. And that's a dreadful thought.
So as it stands, we are 18th in the table. West Brom bottom with 20. Huddersfield the same as us with 24. Swansea above us on 24. Newcastle 25. Southampton 26. Palace 27. Brighton, West Ham all on 27. So there's still so many teams in contention.
There is.
I don't think I can rule us out as down, even though some people are.
No, there's too much pessimism all over the usual places. Okay, message boards and whatnot. But we're by no means cut adrift. We're not even adrift.
We're not cut adrift.
We're still within it. And, there's no reason we couldn't win the next 2 games. And look at Bournemouth. Bournemouth, the perfect example of Watford to a lesser extent of what you can do in a week with a couple of decent results. Who knows? We might do this podcast in 2 weeks, be 10th, 9th. It is that tight.
It is very tight.
But I don't think we will, because I don't think we'll.
So the next fixtures are Brighton, obviously, this weekend. Leicester, Southampton, Man City, Everton, Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, Burnley, Liverpool, Palace, Swansea on the final day. Swansea, that last run-in of Palace and Swansea could be so big.
Yeah.
So big the first 2 weeks of May.
Yeah. I think we need a minimum. This is a minimum to be in contention of 12 points. Surely there's 4 wins 24. There. There's 4 wins there, isn't there?
You could signify Brighton this weekend.
Yeah. Palace, Swansea, Southampton. I get a sneaky feeling we might do something against Everton.
Southampton away.
That's a big one.
It's difficult to pick them out. We've got some top sides as well. Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man City. I could put Everton in that bracket. I don't know. West Ham. It's difficult. It really is difficult to see these games and see where all the points could land. Arsenal away, I think you could potentially write off. That's never get anything
losses from 8 there.
Man City at home, the way Man City are in, you wouldn't argue that we'd get beat by those unless we do give one of those performances we're famous for, where that we lift the stadium and give it them. Tottenham at home, could we do it against them? It is really going to be the games at home. We need the crowd. We need to revitalise that atmosphere that we're famous for, where the big sides come and don't get anything.
Yeah,
really need that. Really need that. But are the teams around us who are worse? Are the people who we think are worse that'll go down? Do West Brom? Do Huddersfield? Do Swansea? Do Southampton? Do Palace? Palace have just had Zaha ruled out for 7 weeks today.
Yeah,
it's massive for them.
It is
huge.
I think Huddersfield are looking very poor at the moment. I don't know. I think they're going to go.
Do Brighton get dragged into it? If we
I would have said yes.
Beat them this weekend.
They had a great result against West Ham the other day, didn't they? Mm-hmm. All I know is that this Saturday is a big one.
And we say it every week, it's a must-win.
They are getting more and more must-win now. It's another cliche keep rolling out. But I think if we lose against Brighton, I think I will put us in the favourites of... what I'm trying to say. If we lose against Brighton, I understandably appreciate that we are within one of the 3 favourites to go down. At the moment, I don't think we are, just because I think there's weaker squads. But if we can't do it against Brighton at home, I kind of appreciate that. Yeah, we are one of the 3 that I feel are favourites to go. It's such a biggest game in 10 years, Saturday.
Huge.
I'm so nervy about it already.
It is huge.
Absolutely massive.
Huge. So some stories that have come up in the news this week since the game itself. David Sullivan has come out and claimed that they bid 25 million for Joe Allen and it was rejected in January.
You know what? If we weren't in this crisis for the moment, I think I would have accepted that.
You reckon?
I like Joe. I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's worth 25 million now.
I think I agree. I don't think he's worth that much.
No, but we can't be forward to let any players go. And he's certainly one of our more important players at the moment anyway. But I would have accepted that if we were mid-table, maybe.
And it's one of them as well. Is he just coming out to try and appease the West Ham fans and say that they went for someone?
Yeah.
Might not have even been materialised, even though it was popped up quite a lot of times that they bid for him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news stories floating about. And then the other sort of story since the game is that Peter Coates came out and said that they did try and sign a striker in January.
I don't know why he said that. I don't see the point.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help. I mean, if we did fine. He wants to appease the fans to show that they're doing all they can.
Apparently,
what's that going to do to?
Apparently, it was Danny Ings, and because Sturridge went out, they kept him.
Yeah. I don't know why he said that. It's a nothing story to me. It doesn't mean anything.
I don't think they're helping themselves at this moment in time.
I don't think Danny Ings would have been a great signing anyway. I don't really need that sort of player at the moment. Personally.
Yeah, I don't know. Peter Coates getting a lot of stick now. Obviously, we don't spend much, probably as much as we should with the owners that we've got, how rich they are. We seem to penny pinch most windows, most transfer situations. If we go down, do you pin all this on the owners and their philosophy and the way that they've gone in transfer windows and the seemingly negotiation tactics that we have?
I wouldn't put any of the reasons down to penny pinching. I think the only thing you can really lay blame at, and I agreed at the time, was not sacking Hughes early enough. And I'll hold my hands up and say I was too late on that call as well. I'd
have done it in the summer.
You would have done, yeah. I clung on to Hughes for too long, as did Coates. I think he probably should have gone. I don't know. I think around Tottenham sort of time he should have gone. It's clearly something that was broke at that point. If we go down, it's not transfer policy. It's remaining with a manager where it had gone wrong. It had lost course. That's where the Coates takes some responsibility. But I'm always reluctant to put any blame towards them because, as I've said 1,000,001 times, we could easily be in League One if it wasn't for that family. So, I really am reluctant to put any blame on their shoulders.
Okay.
Even though, you could argue they should have, but that's life. In hindsight's great, isn't it? Let's say they'd stuck with Hughes and it had turned it around and we ended up mid-table. Then what? It's a difficult one.
It's an interesting one. I do think that with the owners we've got and the money that they've got, I don't think we should have the approach that we do towards not only transfers but spending money off the pitch, upgrading the club, making the club bigger. You should always be, my sort of personality and the things I do. I'd try and make it as big as I can. I'd put things into being the best that we can, areas off the pitch, and we don't do that. We don't move with the times. I don't think so to say. Off the pitch, certainly. I don't know. It's a difficult one. It can only stem from a certain person or certain philosophy, and I don't know what that is. So I can't really lay a blame with a single person. Shall we go to the questions?
Let's do it.
Let's go to the questions.
See if there's anybody out there as miserable as me. I'm sure there's a few.
Butler Street says, appreciate this is now academic, but would we have had a better chance of avoiding relegation with a 25-man squad including Bojan, Muneza and Mbula? Or without them?
I don't think... Maybe Muniesa could have stepped in when Peters was struggling at wing back. I think there's an argument there.
As Duck Mag Stoke commented, I don't think we could be any lower than we are now.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have made a difference at worst case. Bojan, I think, would have made an impact. I don't think he's the sort of player that would... From looking back on the performances, I don't see how Bojan's inclusion would have improved results necessarily, because the problems quite frequently were at the back, just shipping goals. I don't think he would have... If anything, he would have weakened our stance. He would have tracked quite, as Joe Allen, may have done. So maybe Muniesa, not necessarily the other two.
Okay. I don't know. I think we'd at least have had some options in games where Hughes would have made some ridiculous changes like he did. But we'll never know. We'll never bloody know, Craig. No. Ian Barber asked, and you responded to this, who is the Sophie Rose of the Bear Pit TV? Craig, Elliot or Tom? She's...
Is this a viral thing?
No. She's, let's say, a good-looking girl.
Right.
I don't know why he's asking. I don't know if he's asking who's the best looking or who's got the biggest boobs. Or...
Clarify yourself.
Sorry, Ian, can't answer that. We don't know what you mean exactly.
In what context?
Rocky says, what are your favourite cocktails and where would you prefer to enjoy them?
I don't. I could struggle to name a cocktail. I really.
Would you?
I don't
I
drink.
Don't mind.
There's a one with... No, I'm not going to... I don't know.
No, you just haven't got
There's one. I had a night one several years ago. A mate of mine worked in a cocktail bar and he kept pouring these drinks and they were nice. I can't remember the names. It's a pointless story.
Cheers for
Go
that,
on,
that insight.
Save the question.
Sex on the beach. On a beach. Can't beat that.
Okay.
Can't beat that. We've covered it, but Bailey Pepper says, do you think a current situation as a team will affect Jack's chances of being at the #1 World Cup? Well, yeah, the defence is certainly not helping him. It's certainly not helping him. Ty Campbell, I think, scored 2 for the youth, the under-23s.
A nice little assist from Hesse as well.
Nice little assist. Plenty of people, including Ewan and a lot of others, say Should he be near the first team now?
I mean, he scored, what, 15... Is it 15 goals for the under-23s?
Something like
30, 40, 15 goals. I mean, I don't know. Is now the time to chuck in an 18-year-old? Probably not. But then, on the flip side of that coin, could we do any worse up front? Probably not. Difficult question. I'd probably say no, because a step up from under-23s to Premiership is massive.
I don't think now's the time to experiment.
No,
personally.
Mid-table definitely, but certainly not at the moment. I mean, maybe if we somehow get ourselves into a position where we're 2 or even 3-0 up, highly unlikely, it's worth chucking on. But
well, what about
that.
On that point of strikers? Ian Harrison says, "Will Hesse start again? Could he come back?
You know what?
He played last night.
He did. He's given it a go in the under-23s now. I feel and think that all the stuff that occurred with his son, and I think he split up with his wife, didn't he? He's had a bit of a weird year. Hesse has. To Stoke's, it's not helped Stoke's cause at all. We kind of got this guy, and he's just obviously had to do his thing. Who knows? In a weird roundabout way, the guy that's just not been there all season could come and save our asses, because he's a quality player, and we were just starting to see that when he went. It disappeared from the squad. Bournemouth at home was when I last saw him properly, and he was class that day despite the loss. I'd be very willing to chuck him on for cheaper moting this coming Saturday if Cheaper's not doing it again.
See how he does.
I really would. I'm tempted to get him back into the fold.
So on the note of Tyrese Campbell, which was mentioned by numerous people, Sam Hughes, Matthias Goldbrandt, I think he's too young to take that risk at the moment, and we'd rather probably see Hesse get another go.
I'd like to. There's no harm in having the option of Hesse is on the bench in this kind of relegation scrap at all. I'd like to see him against Brighton at some point.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Owen Bloor, when making a cuppa, do you put the tea bag in first or milk?
Making a cup of tea? All tea bag all day?
Of course. You'd have to be a psychopath to put the milk in first.
I do milk with coffee before the hot water.
I don't do coffee, so I don't know.
I
don't know what that means. I don't know if that means you're a weirdo or not.
No, I don't think. Apparently, if you put the milk on top of the coffee beans, it stops the hot water from burning the coffee.
Right.
So I've been told.
Right. Mandy Francis, are teams like Arsenal and Chelsea conspiring against us by showing games against the rivals so we get relegated?
It is driving me up the
Great
wall.
point, Mandy.
And Liverpool as
I
well.
think Conte hates us.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I mean, Stoke beat Arsenal at the start of the season, but that's more or less it. They're not just Bournemouth. What was all that about? I mean, Bournemouth are well away from the relegation zone now, but only a week ago they were in the mix with the rest of us, and they beat Chelsea. Who beat Chelsea away 3-0?
That was mad.
In the lower half of the table ever
mental.
in the league. It never ever happened. I can't recall the last time a lower half Premiership table beat Chelsea at home so comfortably, if at all, in the modern era. It's bizarre. Frustrating.
Agreed. On the question that I told you to remind me to come back to that you forgot, but I found it anyway. Michael Beeston says, what does the substitutions on Saturday say about a manager when the pressure is on to play a left-back and centre-mid when we have Adam on the bench, and then to swap the two up top? Was Crouch really too tired to play Shawcross up top?
Yeah.
Seemed desperate. Was there no plan after 65 minutes?
Who's said this point?
Michael Beeston.
Perfect. Yeah, I completely agree. It was the most surreal set of subs and tactical change I've ever seen. So Ryan Shaw, Crouch goes off in maybe the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Crouch goes off. Shawcross is bizarrely put up front, or at least he's that target man to kind of knock stuff on. We start launching the ball towards Ryan Shawcross. You've got Berahino and Juve running round him like flies, not knowing where they're going, like a Labrador chasing a balloon. And I'm just like, why on earth is he taking Crouch off?
If you're going to do that.
If you're going to do that. It was... I'm not going at Lambert at all, because we're only 3 games in, but that did miff me slightly. That was such a weird tactical change. Crouch must have been like, come on, look at these balls being floated in the air.
Perfect for me.
I mean, you've got your best defender up front. It was so weird and very worrying, the chaotic kind of scenes that ensued in that last 20 minutes. It was so odd. Crouch has to come on with the last 10-15 minutes to unsettle defence. Not the other way around.
He shouldn't be starting.
Not the other way around. He literally, you couldn't have kind of played Crouch in a more, sort of like the opposite of how he should be utilised. I start when it's kind of the pace kind of settles, and then take off when you get to that frantic finish. It was completely upside down how he used Crouch on Saturday. Bizarre.
Matt Bennett says, why do hot dogs come in 8s but hot dog buns come in packets of 6?
I never knew that was a thing. Don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Can't say I buy hot dogs or hot
They're the real
dog
cheap
buns.
ones that come in the little tins, aren't they? They're
Yeah,
sort of
mate,
like,
just put an extra hot dog on a bun or two.
I don't know, yeah. And it never crossed my mind, never pondered that thought.
I've seen a video on the internet by TGF, bro, where they get the hot dogs and just slurp them whole in one.
You did the noise, Al.
So do that with two.
But yeah, that's the question answered.
Do that with two of them.
Do that with two.
Stephen George Coates. Why do we lose
Stephen George Coates?
Yeah.
Is he related to
Related.
the family?
Well, he says, why do we lose so many games? Mate,
That's a massive question.
Mate, if we bloody knew, we'd be in the job.
Poor fitness.
Is that what you're going to say?
Is what I'm going to say.
I'm going to say Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes. And then and as a consequence, poor fitness because of Mark Hughes.
Last question is from Richard Sherrington, and he says, cornflakes, hot or cold milk?
I've never known anyone to have it about milk. Is that a thing?
Apparently.
Cold. Ice cold.
I don't even have milk with cereal.
Would you have?
I just eat it dry.
No. What, in a bowl?
Yeah.
Every day? Just like
I don't have cereal every day, but when I do have cereal, like mini Weetabix, I just eat them dry.
You're weird. I've never heard that.
No.
Dry cereal?
Yeah.
Is anyone else who's listening ever had the cereal dry? I've never heard that. You blow my mind.
I don't like
out.
it being soggy. I don't like it being soggy.
You have to eat it quick so it doesn't.
No.
Or put just like a drop of milk.
Mate, I'm not a race against time. It's me frigging food. I don't
I've
race
never
to
had
eat
dry
it.
cereal. That must be horrible. Well, not horrible, just a bit like boring.
It's beautiful.
What cereal
It's
do you
like
have?
a biscuit.
What's the cereal you
Well, I
have?
have mini Weetabix.
You know
with
what?
Chips in.
You know what? If there's one cereal you were going to do that with, that is the one that works. Because I used to pick at them a little bit. I almost get that, but it's still odd.
I can't remember who it was. Someone in my family used to butter Weetabix.
You kidding me?
No.
Butter wheat and then have it.
Just eat it dry.
That's.
It might be my dad, and he'll be listening if he is.
That's completely trumps your one. That is the strangest eating thing I've ever heard in my life.
Someone in my family used to butter Weetabix.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Dad, I know you're listening. Let me know who it was.
This is cheering me up. This is.
Yeah, what an end!
What an
end! We have got another question. What, Christopher Clowes? What does Craig think of the fact we can get 3.5 bowers for one winner?
That's a point, actually. Where is Wimmer now? Lambert's seen. He's coming for. Hold on. Who's this joker in the corner? And he's banished him to God knows where. Makes me want to cry. That signing becomes more and more ridiculous by the week. And where is he now? Like, literally, where is he now?
I'm not sure what we've done. Maybe we have just sliced all his bits up because he is a big lump of gammon. Sold the gammon.
I tell you what, if it wasn't Hughes who, if it was Hughes' responsibility for signing him, and Hughes has obviously been sacked, fine. But whoever else decided to get Vim needs to be seriously.
Whoever
looked
rubber
at.
stamped it.
Cartwright, it's the worst. I think that's going down as it stands at the moment, the worst bit of business I've ever known Stoke to do. In terms of money, importance of the player at the time, ability, he's just ticked no boxes. He's making Kitson look like a good signing.
And that does take
some doing.
Whilst we're on the subject of Kitson,
Yeah.
and to end it on another positive yet funny yet weird note.
Yeah.
I've ever told you know this story, but the listeners won't know the story. What Rory Delap told
Well, they
us.
should do if they. Oh no, it was outside the
It was
podcast,
off the
wasn't it?
podcast.
Yeah.
Should we tell them?
Yeah, go for it. I've forgotten it.
Let's tell them. So, we were speaking with Rory Delap, and there's a little story that we came across, and this is probably why I never fit in at Stoke, because no one can ever really get a grasp, or you know when you just can't get someone, you can't just get the character, or you can't just bond with them or anything. It's
Something's not clicking.
pretty weird. So Rory Delap says that Dave Kitson told them this story, and as soon as they heard this story, they thought,
It made sense.
that's why he's weird.
Yeah.
That's why that happened. So, I think Dave Kitson's about 14, 15. And
At the time,
in some sort of final, like I don't know, a county cup final or something along those lines. Might be an academy final. TV's gone. TV's killed us, Craig.
For those that listen watch on YouTube, the TV just went. That's why there's a pause.
So he's in this county cup final, whatever it may be, and he's playing, I think, on the right wing. And throughout the first half, he just cannot get the beating of the left back. Just can't beat him. Can't get round him. Do anything. The left back's got him on toast. Nothing. Not a sniff. So they go in at half time, have the team talks, whatever. Come back out. Dave Kitson has a stormer. the left back was a shadow of his former self.
Got the beating of him.
Got the beating of him. I think he scored a couple, maybe got an assist, God knows. And then went on from that to eventually being signed, scouted, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
But Dave Kitson was speaking to his dad in the car on the way in from this final. And he said, and he runs through the game with his dad. He says, first half couldn't do anything. Second half, different player. Got past him, scored a goal. And his dad goes, at half time I pulled him to a side, as they came back out. The fullback, and said, your mum's been involved in a car accident, but she'd want you play on. You play on, son.
And that naturally knocked his ability to focus on the game. That is odd parenting.
Wow. Win at all costs parenting.
Yeah, that's interesting tactic to employ, isn't it?
Madness.
Yeah.
Great story, though. What a way to sort of end the podcast. Yeah. But before we do end the podcast fully, we have obviously got Brighton at home this weekend. Mm-hmm. Tough game. They've obviously had that good win against West Ham last time out.
Yeah.
I'm not confident. Not as confident as I would have been if Bournemouth hadn't happened at the weekend.
Yeah.
If we'd have even held on for the draw, I'd be a lot more confident. Mm-hmm. But
draw would have been a reasonable result.
That's got to have taken some wind out of the lads.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of ways not to say it's a must win.
I'm quite positive the fact that I think Bauer can handle it as Kiedo, whatever his name is.
I like the look of our first 11. This is what's so frustrating about the position we find, especially with Bauer and Dye now. I think we've got a decent first 11 there. I don't know what people feel will be the result, but all I will say is we have to win. That's all I can put to that. I don't care how, we just have to win.
Must win game. Always.
Yeah.
Always. I don't want to see Crouch start.
No. If Crouch starts, this is the first time I've been a bit worried about Lambert's kind of what he sees.
You know what, I'd be happy to start Hesse up front.
I don't know what his fitness level's like, but yeah, I think that's a fair shout.
Why not?
I think that's a fair shout. We'll wait and see. I don't know. Or at least bring him on, get him involved in some capacity.
Yeah. I don't think you can change too much of the team like the rest of the team. And Dice definitely starts again. Mm-hmm. Maybe in a more attacking role.
Maybe my only worry with Cameron and Dice, I both think they bring a lot to the team, but I felt they were both a little bit.
I'd be happy to push Die up in the attacking role a bit more. You can drive, bring Alan back, tell him to do the.
Maybe swap Alan
stuff.
Alan and Dye around,
Putting Dye up there. Let him do the braking, let him do the charging forward, what he's good at.
I think that was one of our kind of flaws at the weekend was there's a lot of gaps. Cameron and Dye kind of pushed forward a little bit too much to my liking and left a bit of a hole in midfield.
Let's bring Alan back and Dye in the little hole behind the striker. Let him do the driving forward, which he can seem to do.
Yeah.
Not only from the weekend, but from the videos I've watched, he likes to do that. Pacey, strong.
Yeah.
Hopefully Lambert is listening to the podcast. But that has been the Bear Pit Pod. We will end it there. Make sure you drop us a like on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Acast, wherever you find us. Do make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See ya.